Are you a business owner and you're kind of wondering how much it costs and what it looks like to make a video for your business? Well, I'm going to break that down for you. I'm Cam, I'm a camera operator, videographer, video producer, kind of like do it all kind of thing. And I'm going to break down the cost of what it's like to make a video for your business. So I'm going to start with the answer that everybody hates, which is it really depends. But I'm going to break it down into tiers of how much you'd probably be looking to spend. So on the low end, we're talking like just bare bones, like the cheapest possible thing. I have two recommendations for that. One is just using your phone. I think that's a perfectly adequate tool. If you're a restaurant, all you got to do is be filming your food, for example, and be posting it on TikTok, and maybe have your like one of your Gen Z employees kind of like making memes and stuff. So that's perfectly like you're already headed in the right direction if you're doing that. Of course, there's a couple things you can invest in for the phone. And I actually have a video where you can click here where I talk about shooting on just your phone. The next thing you want to invest in is lights and some sort of sound system. But one thing I recommend specifically is the Osmo Pocket 3 because it costs $700. You get a microphone and the thing literally follows you. I'm shooting on one right now. And it follows me as I walk around. And all I have is a light panel shooting light onto a white bed sheet. And that's pretty much this whole setup. I mean, I'm intentionally kind of leaving out the backdrop and everything because I think it would be fun. So for $700, that's definitely something I recommend is the Osmo Pocket 3. So that would be my most budget-friendly alternatives. Oh, and then for editing, I mean, you can edit on CapCut, which is free, or iMovie. If you have Apple products, you can edit on iMovie for free, and that's definitely like something that you could be doing. So that right there, that's the most budget-friendly, sub 1,000 things that you could be doing as a business to shoot video content for your business. Now, if you're like, hey, Cam, I don't want to do all that. I want to just hire somebody to do all of that. Well, I'm going to break down what I kind of charge and what other people probably charge. Again, it really depends because it just depends what kind of videos you're trying to accomplish. Typically, I would say for social media packages of just filming maybe 5 hours and then making reels or maybe like a short commercial or something for Facebook ads, for example, you're looking at anywhere between $1,500 to $2,500. And that, I would say that a lot of people will offer a budget package like that. What they include in that will vary greatly on the company. Typically for me, those packages are more social media based. So they're content that I know is going to go on Instagram and all of that. Next, we get into the higher tier, which is probably somewhere in that $2,500 mark to $5,000. And then that's kind of like you're doing something a little bit more convoluted. Maybe you're including an interview. Maybe you're creating like an About Us video. Usually video people will have like an additional crew member or an additional one or two crew members on those shoots if it falls into the budget, kind of depends. And then that's for something a little bit more convoluted. We're bringing lights, we're kind of doing audio, we're maybe cutting something a little bit more complex, like an About Us video, etc. So past $5,000, that's when we're looking at additional expenses. Maybe we're actually filming a documentary about your business, and so now we're talking about additional editing time. Maybe we're renting a studio space because we don't want to shoot in just your office. Maybe we have actors involved. Maybe there's additional crew needed, etc. And then that kind of takes you over the $5,000 mark into, and then that can keep going up. That can totally keep going all the way up until you're like in a $100,000 Nike commercial that with like proper crew and then cranes and all this like different fancy schmancy stuff. But I'm trying to just give budget. I'm trying to just give like ballpark ideas of what you'd be looking to spend and what you could kind of get for that. Location varies a little bit as well as location and company you're hiring varies. So there's high-end video production companies that are, they're just higher end. They work with bigger brands. They have full-time staff. They have all the works. And so those companies are typically going to be more expensive than if you go with like a small business or like a freelancer such as myself, which could be a little bit more budget friendly because there's not as much overhead. Gear also matters. The videographers and the gear that they own kind of varies a lot. So I personally own like a fair amount of stuff, but there's people that own more stuff than me and better cameras and better lights and more grip and etc. So that could also vary the price ranges a lot, as well as location. Cruise video production in New York is probably going to be a little bit more expensive than, say, Tulsa, Oklahoma or something. So it really, like, there's so many variables for video production, but I thought that this would be a great video to make because a lot of times businesses will reach out to me and ask me, how much do you charge? It's a very complicated answer. I think as a business that one of the best ways to approach a freelancer is probably to kind of come up with a number for yourself. Like, what are you comfortable paying per month, or what are you looking to spend? What are you looking to make? And then so, you find that number in your head, whatever that might be. So let's say you're comfortable with spending $2,500, for example. And so instead of having the freelancer just give you their rates, which a lot of us don't just have like rates, a lot of us don't really do like hourly rates and et cetera. I mean, like we might do it in our math where there is hourly, but like we don't really like disclose that or work on hourly rates because it's not typical that we do like 1 hour worth of work. I mean, there's a lot of stuff involved in video production, like pre-production and communication, Zooms, meetings, etc. So like, I find that not a lot of us do hourly, we do per package. So coming up with a budget that you are comfortable paying with per month or per project, and then reaching out to the freelancers and the agencies and kind of trying to see what you could get for that rate, basically. I think that that's a better approach because it's difficult when somebody, and also just having an idea of what you want to make, because if somebody reaches out to me and all they want is a couple TikToks to post a month and then maybe push a Facebook ad, that's a very different request than somebody who wants to make like a full documentary about their business that's been around since like 1850 or something. And that's like, okay, there's a lot of like history, time involved in pre-production, editing, gathering clips, interviews. Like it's just so much more convoluted. It's probably multiple days of shooting. That's like just an example of something that a business might want, is like they might want like a convoluted about us video or some sort of story about the founders, or training videos, for example, or testimonials that might require multiple days of shooting, going places. Like it really, so you kind of, I think, should just have an idea in mind. And if you don't have an idea in mind and you're just trying to get the freelancer to tell you ideas, then you should have maybe like a ballpark budget in mind so that they kind of know where you're at, because like I said, these things all cost different amounts of money and different types. All these ideas kind of cost different amounts of money, and also sometimes a freelancer might be willing to cut some corners in something to accommodate your budget. So for example, maybe instead of shooting a full day, they shoot a half day. Maybe instead of bringing a convoluted camera rig, they bring a DSLR. There's a lot of wiggle room with these things. So I think just starting with your own personal budget and kind of having some ideas of what you're looking for, maybe some recommendations of other types of content of similar businesses that you like, and then kind of going from there. So that's my best advice. I hope that answers how much video will cost for your business, but I know it's like not really a straight answer, just a lot of yapping. Just a lot of just me talking and trying to make it palatable. Comment down below and let me know what you think, and